Today on A&E Weekly, a special interactive session with ABUJA Electricity Distribution Company, AEDC. The head corporate communications, Mr. OYEBIDE FADIPE, is here with us. And we take a look at the increase of fuel prices as the Petroleum Product Pricing Regulatory Agency increased petrol pump price from 123 naira 50 kobo per litre to a lower limit of 140 naira 80 kobo per litre and an upper limit of 143 naira 80 kobo per limit. The economic value of the Abuja-Kaduna-Kano gas pipeline as listed by President Muhammadu Buhari. And the International Monetary Fund, IMF, says the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on Nigeria and other oil exporters in Africa is estimated to cost a total of about $34 billion in revenue. We'll be back after this break. Welcome back to E&E Weekly. This is the Thursday edition of the program. I am Joycelyn Elakeche Ada. The huge volumes of oil stranded at sea have started to shrink, and it is expected to decline further into the second half of the year. This positive report is based on demand recovery around the world as economies gradually return to normalcy. Let's take a look at OPEC members' oil pricing for today. There was a chart showing today's OPEC members' oil prices. Moving on, the Petroleum Pricing Regulatory Agency, PPPRA, has announced an increase in petrol pump price from 123 naira 50 kobo per litre to a new pump price band of 140 naira 80 kobo per litre on the lower limit and on the upper limit 143 naira 80 kobo for the month of July. The regulatory agency says the increase became necessary after a review of the prevailing market fundamentals in the month of June and a consideration of marketers' realistic operating cost. It would be recalled that President Muhammadu Buhari had approved a monthly adjustment in prices of petroleum products by the PPPRA following the drop in international oil prices due to lockdown restrictions introduced to curtail the spread of the coronavirus pandemic. PPPRA said the monthly price band which marketers operate on is based on the existing price regime. The agency advised all marketers within the nation to operate within the indicative price band. And the International Monetary Fund, IMF, says the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on Nigeria and other oil exporters in Africa is estimated to cost a total of about $34 billion in revenue. According to IMF, the decline in revenue is attributed to the dwindling global crude oil prices. The Director, African Department, IMF, Mr. Ababi Salase, said The fund noted that African governments would be under intense budget pressure and rise in debt burden, saying such burden will be higher among all exporting countries. The International Monetary Fund disclosed if the pandemic persists, it could transform profoundly the demand for energy. Mr. Salasa said the shock on fiscal resources is crippling but should not be allowed to wipe out the achievements in terms of human development over the last 2 decades. He also said the recovery on the continent depends crucially on investing in renewable energy, which offers huge potentials in terms of badly needed jobs and acquiring new technological capabilities. The IMF noted that since the 2014 oil price collapse, production and investment of most African oil exporters had been on the decrease. The institution blamed the decline on structural issues, governance, and security concerns in several countries, especially in Nigeria and Libya. And now the AKK gas pipeline is expected to enable the injection of 2.2 billion cubic feet of gas into the domestic market and facilitate an additional power generation capacity of 3,600 megawatts. The President Muhammadu Buhari flagged off the project on Tuesday as part of his administration's next-level agenda for sustainable development. The President said the project will enhance economic prosperity and increase the country's infrastructure. The President enumerated the benefits of the project, saying it will improve domestic gas usage, provide gas for generating powers and gas-based industries. This, he said, will facilitate the development of new industries, leading to creation of jobs opportunities, utilization of local skills and manpower, and promotion of local manufacturers. President Muhammadu Buhari described the benefits from the ABUJA-Kaduna-Kano gas pipeline as immeasurable. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, our interactive session with AEDC, Mr. OYEBIDE FADIPE, is here with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is E&E Weekly Thursday edition, and we have the Head Corporate Communications, AEDC, Mr. OYEBIDE FADIPE, here with us on a special edition of the program, an interactive session whereby you can be part of the program by calling in via Skype or telephone. Our Skype ID is live column ASO RTV Abuja. I'll take that again, live column ASO RTV Abuja, or you can call us on telephone on 0905 740 81287. I'll take that one more time, 0905 748 1287. You're welcome, Mr. Fadipe.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. We had you last week and we were unable to take most of the questions that were coming in from consumers. And let's quickly start with the increase in tariff. And we noticed that it is scheduled in bands, at which is, it's splitted into bands whereby some customers receive more power than others. And the question here is that customers are unclear about this situation, especially on the percentage of the increase. Can you shed more light on this, sir?
First of all, the issue of percentage increase may not be available to them now for obvious reasons. The process, tariff review is a process. And incidentally, the issue of what percentage of increase you are likely to see there is one of the tail end issues that will come up. So that issue of the numbers may not be available immediately. But in terms of the bands, of course, that one is a public knowledge for now, although the tariff review itself is put in abeyance for now.
Yes.
Now, you have 5 bands. Let me start from the lowest, 8 hours and below. And then you have those who are 8 hours, but not up to 12 hours.
Okay.
Then you have those who are 12 hours and above, but not up to 16 hours. And then you have those who are 16 hours and above, but not up to 20 hours. And then you have those who are 20 hours and above. I think for the first time, we are going to be seeing what some will describe as discrimination and what some will describe as segmentation. I mean, either way, the fact remains that certain people are paying lower than certain people. And I think it's a global tradition for us to find, let's use the tax regime, for instance. It's a global tradition that you find out that certain people at the upper crust of the society, they pay higher than those who are, with profound respect, at the lower end of the society. So you have a situation where customers are also agitated for a balance between what they pay and what they get. So what we are responding to is actually a stimulus by the customers, which has been rightly called service reflective tariff. What does that mean? Let us pay what we receive as service. Let payment be commensurate to service, and let service be equal to payment. So in that respect, you find out that what the power sector has done essentially, or what it is projected to do in the next 6 months, is where a situation where customers will pay for what they actually get. And that's why you have those 5 bands, those who are 8 hours and below. But let me also quickly add that those who are in the category you call the lifeline,
What category is that?
I mean, they are those who enjoy power for 50 kilowatts hour. Okay. And there are those who are below 8 hours. Okay. Their tariff is frozen, by which I mean that no kobo is going to be added to their tariff. And they have been like that for quite some time. They have been paying what you call the lifeline rate. Again, because of their economic power, it's very, very important that we take note of that. And then, of course, because as a matter of fact, what is the amount of energy that they are actually consuming? So you find out that those are the upper crust of the society will be subsidizing those who are at that stage.
Well, is that fair to those at the upper class of the society? Is that fair on them? Because the truth is that everybody's consuming power.
Well, life itself, I don't know whether this is a platform for philosophizing, but life itself is not fair. I mean,
but is it right for one party to pay for another?
No, you see, nature itself is not a balanced environment. Let's be very realistic. I mean, you have those who are shorter than me. They need some form of assistance to get to certain heights. You have those who are far taller than me, and they just stretch their hands and they are up there. So nature itself is not on a plain platform. Even driving to this place, I mean, we have to climb the hill. I mean, for those who have phobia for heights, it's a big challenge. I mean, I know that one very clearly. So let's not look at the issue of imbalance or unfairness. Rather, let's look at what is practicable at the moment. If you say it's unfair, what about those who are getting less hours of service?
Exactly, I was getting there. Why
some people are getting more hours of service.
Does that mean because they're on the upper class, they should be treated better?
It's not, well, from that perspective, it's not exactly so. Let's look at some bit of history here. I mean, in some society, development starts from the village to the urban centers. In some society, development starts from the urban centers to the village. Unfortunately, our own is the urban centers to the village. And this is a byproduct of colonialism. When the colonial masters came, they created some areas for themselves, and they call it GRA. And we have maintained that kind of structure till now. So if you look at the spatial distribution, you find out that less number of people are living in those GRAs, well spaced and stuff like that, good roads and all of those things, facilities going there, and of course, it's the big men in the society that are living there, as compared with profound respect to those who are living there, because I even live there anyway. Areas like Karu, Jikoi, Yanya, and stuff like that. The density in that area is high.
But they have businesses there too.
I agree with you. I agree with you. But look at it from this perspective. All of us are in the same aircraft. Okay? Some are in business class, some are in economy, some are in first class and stuff like that. But you don't get the same service. But you enter the same plane.
Because I didn't pay for the same service.
You take off at the same time. It's the same flight. You take off at the same time. The only difference is the food and the leg space. That's the only difference. If there's going to be a crash, all of you die at the same time.
Mr. Fadipe. Mr. Fadipe, the fact still remains that these people at the lower class will want adequate power supply as well.
I agree with you, especially for, now let's not make a comedy of this, especially with a thing like electricity. Everybody wants to enjoy it at the same time. I do agree with you, but the reality on ground suggests that we do that graduation. That's the reality on ground. Until we are able to see what will eventually come out of this, if we look at it critically, is that from those in the upper crust of the society, you can then draw some fund to run capital expenditure in the lower areas and then build them up to the point where you can also upscale the availability to them.
So in other words, the upper class will pay for power being used by the lower class.
We subsidize. I won't say pay. I will say subsidize. Yes.
Is this with their knowledge?
Well, they know that is one of the responsibility put on them by reason of the fact that their areas have been specially developed.
Okay.
I mean,
we won't beat on that.
By implication, they should know that is one of the things they will also suffer. I mean.
Well, this is one of the complaints we have, or questions, comments we have received on our platform since we had you on Tuesday. The discrepancies, in this electricity tariff, some paying for others. But moving on, the world is actually presently facing economic challenges. Nigeria not exempted, like I said, and several businesses are experiencing a downturn. Is this the right time for distribution companies, DISCOs, to increase electricity tariff? I do know that a public hearing was held, and if I attended most of those public hearings, and I remember clearly, most Nigerians were not happy with power supply in the whole country. So is this the right time when people are complaining we're not getting enough power, and then we're increasing electricity tariff?
Now, the issue is, I do admit, because of course I'm also a customer, I mean, I take electricity. I do admit that quite a number of people are very unhappy with what the power sector is currently, and they think very rightly too that it can be better than what it is. But I think we need to be able to look at production cost vis-a-vis efficiency and availability. Now, the first question is, what is my production cost? Now, right now as we speak, electricity is at about 53 naira. If you look at the risk of doing the wrong thing on air, if you look at the business day of yesterday, you will see a great deal of analysis there. Electricity is at about 53 naira, and then we sell it per kilowatt hour, and then we sell it at 33 naira. So there is a shortfall of about 20 naira. Yes. No, 55 naira, and then we sell at 33, average price of 33 naira. So there's 22 naira. Now, who is going to pay for that shortfall? I think one problem I have seen now and again, especially because I operate at the DISCO end of the value chain, is the fact that nobody sees the transmission and generating companies, even though ASO Radio and Television has a transmission facility behind you. You don't see them. You don't see them, not to talk of the power station that is not anywhere around you. The closest, perhaps, will be either the one in Niger State, Shiroro and Jeba, or the one in Kogi State, Geregu Power Station. Okay, gas. Now, the product we sell in DISCO does not belong to us. We sell on behalf of somebody. We're only a revenue collection agent for the other members of the value chain. And so, when we go to sell, we also have a responsibility to remit the money back to them. Selling on their behalf does not recognize the right time or the wrong time. I do admit, and this is the analogy I've always given, that the worst time to quarrel with your wife is when she's pregnant. That's the worst time. I mean, because ordinarily by that pregnancy, she's in
a vulnerable
a highly
state,
vulnerable.
condition.
Yes, I mean, women will understand this.
We'll
one
cut
very
you
well.
right there. We'll still go on with this
Okay.
pregnant woman, but we have a caller online. Hello, can you hear us?
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
Good evening. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Please, what's the name? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling. My name is ABUJA. I'm calling from Kapodoro Extension, from Luma Village.
Okay, what's your question?
Hello. Hello.
Hello, I can hear you. Please go ahead with your question.
I'm talking with ASO TV.
Yes, you are speaking on ASO TV, and this is E&E Weekly. We have Mr. OYEBIDE FADIPE of AEDC.
I know we're talking about electricity, but I don't have light. That is why I'm talking a lot.
Yes, go ahead. We can hear you. Go ahead with your question. What's your question?
Okay, my problem is now, in my ASO section, in that Luma Village, one of our transformer now is giving high and low voltage light.
Okay.
These 4 days now, they have never come and rectified any problem.
Okay.
Last day first today, a bomb in my room exploded and it spilled fire into on top of my bed.
Wow.
Even if I'm not around or if I'm sleeping by that time, if a light catch up my house, I could have been a dead body.
Okay,
Why
thank
is
you.
it that they cannot come and repair this thing? So this 4 or 5 days now.
Okay, thank you.
Like this.
All right, we get your question.
About it because we are in our house, so we are not human beings. We are not
All right, all right.
Nigerians. Why is it like this?
Okay.
This transformer is giving us this problem. So
We get his question. And
they want to bring water bill.
Okay, we get his general question. His general question is low and high current, which
There's
leads
a
to fire. Yes, which leads to fire outbreak. And he also complained of his house, almost getting burnt yesterday.
Which area is that?
I didn't get
that-
where
that
he said he
area.
was calling
But
from.
essentially, that must be maybe a problem with the neutral phase. The neutral phase may be off, and when the neutral phase is off, it's like electricity is in a wave, but the neutral phase helps to balance it out and puts it on a stable flight. So I wish we know the area. Yes, we'll just.
Please, if you're still watching, you would have to still call us back and let's know the area so that Mr. FADIPE can send people there to rectify that problem. We have another caller. Hello, can you hear us?
Hello, I'm talking again. Only from Luma Village.
Godua Village.
Gadua
Village.
Gadua
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, we'll take note
We'll
of it.
take note of that.
My complaint is this transformer has been given high and low voltage.
Okay.
It has been running all the electronics of people around this area.
All right, we have gotten we've gotten your complaint. Thank you. Okay, we've gotten your complaint. Thank you. So he said he's calling from Gadua Village, and that's the issue. Let me ask this: how often are numbers made available, easily available for customers to be able to reach the AEDC when they have issues such as this?
We have our contact center is one of the most efficient part of our operations.
Okay.
I mean, I've read a lot of literature about customer experience, and one of the things that most of those literatures have pointed to is an effective contact center. I like to boldly say, and at the risk of immodesty, that our contact center is one of the best in the country today. I can give out the numbers so that the customer can get back to, but they can always go on our website, www.abujaelectricity.com, and then they can have access to all this information.
But some of these customers do not have access to internet as much as that. So it's very important for the AEDC to make available numbers that they can call. We have another caller. Okay, we lost that call. We'll continue. Please, you were talking about the
so I was trying to use the analogy of the pregnant woman to say that the worst time to quarrel with a woman is when she's pregnant, because she's already vulnerable. But you will not, on account of the fact that she's pregnant, allow her to do anything to jeopardize the pregnancy itself.
Okay, we have another caller. Hello, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay, good afternoon. What's the name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Lauto.
Can you speak up? Can you speak louder? What's the name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Lucky. I'm calling from ABUJA, precisely.
Okay, go ahead with your question, Mr. Lucky. Go ahead with your question, Mr. Lucky.
Okay. Yes. My own problem is this.
Yes.
My own problem is this. You buy a transformer, you fix it, you do installation, buy a pole and do in your area. Later will just come and give you bill. They will not come to say they will compensate you for what you have invested. I don't really understand that policy. Because the policy could have been, if I invest on you people, you say, okay, this year, go on tax list. Don't pay your bill or don't do this. So we will do all the installation, finish everything, they will just come start giving you people bill without no refund. I don't really understand that.
Okay, Mr. Lucky, thank you for calling in. Mr. Oyebode, thank you. So, our customer, before we take his question, are customers supposed to buy meters?
Yes, customers by the current arrangement, customers pay for meters. Yes.
And now he said he bought a transformer. Was it transformer he said?
I understand his question very well. He gave the impression that if you provide all the electrical facilities to take electricity to your home, are you still supposed to pay for electricity? And my answer is yes. And the reason why it is yes is because the person that is giving you the electricity is not the owner. Okay. But you see, the system has recognized the fact that there are private investors, in quotes, who provide for these materials that is supposed to be provided for by the discos. So what is the compensation for that? Now, NEC has said before you do that kind of thing, both the disco and NEC and the person who wants to make that kind of provision must sit down and agree on the extent of the investment, one, and then the compensatory approach. How does he want to be compensated? Or how should he be compensated? Should he be compensated by way of energy, such that he will not pay for energy over a period of time? So all of us will determine it. But what you have seen now and again consistently is that customers go to the market, buy these items, get some people to bring them into the network, and then they say, come and pay, come and give me,
discount.
Either discount or I shouldn't be paying for electricity again.
Because I connected it myself. I invested
yes, it doesn't work that way. The three of us must agree.
Before you make any investment.
Nobody is saying don't make an investment, but there is a procedure to be adopted, which is provided by the regulator. Don't do it unilaterally. We have said this over and over again, but people just think that, okay, laws are there not for obedience, but for disobedience. So we have obedience more in breach than in the real obedience.
Okay, we'll take a short break now, and when we come back, we're still taking calls. Like I said, you can call us on our phone number, it's on your screen, or you can call us via Skype. It's also on the screen. This is E&E Weekly. We will be right back. Welcome back to E&E Weekly. If you're just joining us, this is the Thursday edition, and we have the head corporate communications, AEDC, Abuja Electricity Distribution Company, Mr. Oyebide FADIPE. This is a special edition of the program whereby you can call in on the screen, on the number you're seeing on your screen right now. Mr. Oyebide, okay, we have a caller before we go on. We will finish that pregnant woman's story. Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, I called concerning the transformer stuff.
Okay, it's okay. Mr. Lucky, hold on, Mr. Lucky.
Over there.
Hello, Mr. Lucky.
paid by him.
Okay,
We
Mr.
have up to 1,000 houses in that place. And we do a contribution before we get that transformer. Every household pay.
Okay.
And secondly now, the transformer is not okay because we have up to 4 transformer there. It's not very helping us very well. The NEPA people now, the AEDC, let them come with their own transformer to assist and see what, if not, we are going to take people to court too. Because we have up to 1,000 houses in that place. This is not a small project, it's not a one-man project. It's a very big project.
What area of APO is that? Mr. Lucky. Mr. Lucky, can you hear me?
Okay, I'm hearing you.
What area of APO is that?
APO mechanic.
APO mechanic. All right. We'll take it from here now. Thank you for calling in. He bought a transformer.
I'm not disputing.
Their bought is a community, I guess.
I'm not disputing whatever they want. Whatever he's saying.
Okay.
My son wants admission, and the federal government regulation is that he has to write JAMB. Okay. He has to do WAEC.
True.
And you are saying he doesn't have to. You are saying you have to create your own school and build your own university, and that it must be recognized by Ministry of Education. Have you followed the procedure? There is, if you bring your certificate from, even from Britain that colonized us, you still have to go to the Ministry of Education to do accreditation of that certificate that you say you earned in Britain. So why is it difficult for people to follow rules and regulations? I don't understand. Can I just walk into the studio of ASO Television and say, because I have a message to pass across, I must be admitted into the studio at any time that I want? It's not done. It's not done anywhere. Let's learn to follow rules and regulations. I understand the imperfection of our system, but we cannot continue to make an imperfect system more imperfect. There are procedures.
Well, Mr. Lucky, you've heard him. I guess the best solution to this is that the association that bought the
Let's have a discussion.
They have to come to AEDC office and
let's have a conversation around this.
Because apparently the transformer doesn't seem to be able to carry the power, the load that it's on it presently, because he's talking about the fact that the transformer itself, it's not functioning.
If we had had a conversation from the beginning, we would have advised properly. Oh, if you are buying a transformer, you probably would need a 500 kVA transformer, or you need 2 by 500 kVA transformer, so that you can pick all the load at the same time.
Hello, good afternoon. What's the name? Where are you calling? Good afternoon. What's the name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Mr. Ademola from
Kadokushi. Kadokushi.
Please, I want to ask Mr. FADIPE.
Yes.
Is it free?
Prepaid meter
Prepaid
is not
meters.
Free. Yes, ma'am.
It's not free.
Because I want to check it, but I don't know whether it's money or
It's not free. Single phase is about 48,000, officially 48,000 plus. 3 phases officially 90,000 plus, but not up to 91,000 and not up to 49,000.
Okay, so Mr. Fadipe just answered your question. Thank you very much. Thanks for calling. Prepaid meters are not free.
They are not free. You pay for it.
You pay
Single
for it.
phase, not up to 49,000, but so it's 48 plus. 3 phase, not up to 91,000. So it's
But
90,000
some
plus.
customers are aggrieved about this, because they claim some customers got their meters for free and others now have to buy, and they feel like we're still paying the same electricity bill. Mine is not cheaper.
Now, it's a good question, and like I've always said, this is a regulated industry. Now, for those who paid, what is supposed to happen, we are still waiting for the guideline for that one. What is supposed to happen is that they will discount their tariff over a period of time. And in any case, there's supposed to be a refund. So
refund in cash terms?
No, in energy, so that everybody will now be on the same.
Because the next thing,
it's
people
unfair,
come to your office
yes.
and say, people owe me money.
It's unfair for some people to get it without paying for it, and some people to get it by paying.
Up to 40,000 naira to get it.
So
there will be a refund.
Yes.
In energy terms,
in energy, because just as we had in CAPME, nobody will give you cash. It will be in the form of energy, and it's factored in over a period of time, and then you can recoup your advance payment.
Okay, let's go back to the pregnant woman.
Now, to the pregnant woman's analysis. Now, I got to the point where I was saying that even though you don't want to quarrel with her, you cannot also allow her to do anything that will jeopardize the pregnancy. maybe she drinks excessively, and this is a family that has been believing God for a long time for fruit of the womb, and then God answers their prayer, and then that is in excitement she's now taking spirits, taking heavy alcohol, and she's getting drunk and falling and things like that. You know that it will endanger the baby and stuff like that. So what do? You quarrel with her, but it is now a strategic way of doing it. You don't go all out.
So how do we relate this to
now?
energy?
What is the relationship here? Everybody is saying this is not the right time to increase tariff. But the question is, are we paying the right price? When will be the right time? Now it has been pushed to Q1 2021. Who knows what will happen in Q1 2021? Yet our economy, our power sector is not in this right situation that we need, that we want it to be. So what I'm saying in other words is this: we are not imposing the entire cost. It's going gradually. Government itself that is subsidizing as a result of COVID-19 is also suffering some backlash in the cost of crude oil. I mean, in the story you just took in this program, you also mentioned, or this program also got us to understand that as a result of a rise in cost of crude oil, government has immediately increased the pump price of petrol or PMS immediately, because government needs money to make sure that it can, especially now that COVID is here, particularly in the health sector. Government needs a lot of money. Government is facing a huge challenge in security. It needs money to prosecute that war. It's a full-blown war. And several other things. Look at the AKK, Ajaokuta, Kanu, Kaduna gas pipeline. Government needs money to prosecute that. There are so many other things. So if there are so many things to spend money on, and then we can recover some from the citizen or from the populace, why are we not doing that? And I think that is the thinking of government right now. Otherwise, government is still subsidizing the sector.
Okay, Mr. Fadipe, there's something that just came to my mind with buying of meters.
Yes.
We spoke about the upper class and the lower class. Now, if the lower class is being, electricity is being subsidized for them, how can they now afford a meter of 40,000 naira?
Now, that's a good question. The metering arrangement allows for what you call MSC, meter service charge, which allows them to pay over a period of time. So you see that there has been some factoring of their own economic power into the equation. I mean, the man in Maitama presumably can afford the 90,000 or 100,000, as the case may be, at one fell swoop. Don't think that those in Maitama don't have their own financial challenges. They do. But comparatively, the person in Karu, in Jikuo, in Nyanya, in Kushingoro, in Karamajiji may not be able to release. I mean, I took a walk around the Bureau de Change area today, and I saw a woman frying yam, doing this and doing that, and I tried to do a mental analysis of the cost of production. She had about 12 crates of eggs there. Maybe a crate of eggs is about 3,000 and things like that. 12 times 3,000, and you do that analysis, and I saw that she could be doing about 20,000 in a day. Now, how many days will it take her to put together that 48,000 plus? Because that is the cost of the capital that she's investing. Her profit may not be more than about 5,000 or 4,000 in a day, as the case may be. So it takes a long time. I do recognize that fact.
Okay, we have a caller on the line. Hello, can you hear us? Hello, can you hear us? Can you speak a bit louder? I can barely hear you. Hello, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay, please go.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What's the name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Nnamdi. I'm calling from Maraba.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Nnamdi.
Yeah, Mr. Fadipe is trying so much to defend everything, every question that has happened. But my major concern is that they allow communities to buy both transformers, like where I'm living in Maraba. Before we connect line, I paid 20,000, and the whole of the compound paid 120,000 to get this line. And there was no certainty of giving to them the less what you have contributed to get this line. All of the whole thing was just after connecting the line, we continue like that to pay. Now another thing is, he is saying the issue of meter.
Yeah, it's not everybody that is getting it, as was said before. Then how can everybody get this prepared meter so that those who doesn't have it will not be at the risk of maintaining what the backlog of what people have not paid? Because that is what is happening. I think whatever that is the balance, they try to share it among those who does not have meter. And thirdly, why is it that the AEDC cannot summon courage and get every deputy companies are holding them in order to make sure that they have nothing more, because they're using bulbs and they don't want to deliver in your house and they're paying up to 5,000 in a month. What do you get out of it? So I think they should be maybe easier for people. We're talking about paying for a little over a period of time.
Okay.
How can they really know?
All right. Thank you very much. Thanks. Okay. Thank you for calling in.
Pay for meter over a time.
Okay.
I really didn't get his question.
Okay. The first thing he said is that his compound or community again
paid 20,000 and a total
to
of
connect
120,000.
Yes, to be able to have light power in their area there. And secondly, he spoke about meters. That why is it that the AEDC cannot meter every house customer so that you know what you're paying for, what you use is what you're paying for. And finally, I think he then spoke on debt collection by the AEDC. He feels that people without meters are paying for power that they are not consuming, estimated billing, which has always been an issue.
Estimated billing had always been controversial, and it will continue to remain controversial because, like I've said on this program before, it's open to human error. Let's be frank, my kind of PR practice does not admit of not having the courage to say it as it is. There will always be, even with machines that you program, there will be errors occasionally, not to talk of when you think that, okay, this person is likely to be using this quantum of energy and you convert it to the naira and things like that. So what will solve the problem finally is meter. And that is the reason, one of the reasons, if you look at today's papers, you will see, curiously enough, you will see the papers reporting that this goes also considered to the postponement of the commencement of the tariff. One of the reasons why they consider to that postponement is that they think it is only fair to customers that all of them are metered before
the increase.
There is an increase.
So are you now saying that all customers will be metered before the first quarter of 2021?
If I say all customers, it will seem as if up to zero. It's not going to be possible to get up to zero, because if I set a target of 50 customers, if assuming for the purpose of this discussion I have just 50 customers to meter, and I say between now and the end of July I will meter those customers, trust me, more customers will come up before I get to the end of July. So,
true.
But the fact remains that let it be that out of those 50, I can meter 47, I can meter 45, I can meter 46. If I'm able to meter 46 out of 47, I can meter the balance 3 in hours. Do you get what I'm saying?
I do.
In terms of metering customers, it makes a lot of business sense. Let me tell you something, Joyce. During the lockdown period, energy was moved to homes so that they can also be at home and be kept at home. Children who are very restless, who are staying at home for the first time. All of us found a time we were never used to, for the first time in our lives.
That's true.
In our hands, except for those on essential service who were going out every day. Others were forced to sit at home for about 1 month at a stretch. Nigerians who were not going on holiday suddenly found holiday time. And then how do you keep them at home without electricity?
Difficult.
Watch television, do this and do that and all of those stuff. So electricity moved to the homes. And we were able to do that because some companies also shut down their operations. So we had a lot of energy with us. But where am I driving to? Or what point am I trying to make? We also lost so much because we didn't have enough meter to account for the energy. So if we add say 70% metering level, 80% metering level, it would have been very easy for us not even profit, but at least to account for the energy that
was
sent out.
Exactly.
So you now have This is where the estimated billing problem comes from. Where somebody is staying at home alone and he does not have a meter, he probably was given a bill higher than what he consumed within that period, because some husbands were caught up in certain locations. They couldn't move to where their family is. Some families were, so many people caught up in different locations, so they found themselves in some difficult situations. So some people use so much energy. Some did not use as much energy. And because they don't have meter, you bill them also differently, but some people did not use as much as that. But you have to account for the energy. That's what the man was trying to say when he said, when he was making reference to this kind of situation, that after those who have meter have paid, the balance you share out.
Oh, okay.
Because the energy does not belong to the discos, it belongs to the generating
but the National
companies.
Assembly, I remember that they said that estimated billing should not be more than 1,800.
There is nothing like that. I'm sorry. Unfortunately, I'm not with the paper here. It's behind the camera. National Assembly did not say that.
Because this is what a lot of consumers say.
I've always looked for opportunity to correct it. I've corrected it over and over again. Even on radio this morning, I was on a radio program this morning, and the presenter said, NEC said nobody should pay above 1,800. And I said, it's not true. Let me tell you the origin of that figure. When NEC, if you go to NEC website, the order on capping of estimated billing, that's the title of the order. Order on capping of estimated billing. They now did an example. It's like our children in school, or when we were in school and you are doing mathematics, they will say, worked example. They will give you example and say, follow this example to do the others. What NEC did with that the figure is actually 1872.
Okay.
That's actually the figure. Okay. NEC now used that one as an example, saying that in an area called White Acre, there is no place called White Acre. White Acre is a word.
It's an example.
Yes, used by lawyers when they are doing legal conveyancing, when they are doing conveyancing of a property. So they said if the customer lives in an area called White Acre and he consumes this quantum, about 70 kilowatt hour of energy multiplied by 24 naira 30 kobo, it will give you this value. So that's an example. So they now worked out for different areas. I remember that for Pape, I think it's about 60 megawatts, no, 83. Now, when you multiply 83 megawatts hour by 24 naira 30 kobo, it will give you a particular value. Look for the 7.5% VAT of that value, add it to it, it will now give you what you should pay. And it is discriminated all over. In a place like Asokoro Meitama, I think they gave about 600 kilowatt hour. So everybody is not paying the same thing. NEC did not say that the cut-off price is 1,800. No.
This clarification is very important.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Several questions. I received several questions that NEC said they should pay only 1,850.
No, NEC did not say so.
But yes, discos go around giving bills of...
NEC did not say so. Let them go to NEC website to check. NEC never said so. They only use that as a working example.
Okay, let's take. We don't have any call online, so let's take another question. With we were talking about the right time and not the right time to increase power, and you did say that it was because of all of the economy issues we're having that the consideration. Discos also considered that, okay, let's move it to 2021. I would like to say something that I read the report that AEDC is one of the power distribution companies that have metered have metered the highest compared to other distribution companies. But what is the plan on ground now to be able to meter more customers? Because the issue of meter, the issue of estimated billing can only be solved with metering of customers. So what plan do we have? What strategy does AEDC have on ground to get others metered?
Now,
I'm sorry to quote you. And please know that I have also received, during the course of this program, that customers say we have paid for meter, and yet it takes 2-3 weeks, some even say a month, to get their meters installed.
No, I'll take the second question first. In terms of timing,
Oh, hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
What's the name where you calling from?
Nathaniel Bane calling from Maraba.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Nathaniel.
Okay, like here I say now, they call the place Apple Village along the Express Road.
Okay.
Yeah, well, we don't normally get the light as often as we do get. But yet, the bill we bring to us is much more than what. And this complaint has been taken into the office for several times, but yet nothing has been done about it. Maybe you feel like maybe by 12 midnight and as early as 4, you see the light, and you don't see the light again maybe till the next day.
And can you give me an example of how much power, how much
Your bill.
Yes, how much your bill is
Okay,
monthly?
like in my compound, I have 9 rooms there.
Okay.
Yes.
And how much did they bring for you?
Situation.
What?
Sometimes they bring up to 7,000 naira, 8,000 naira.
For 9
the
rooms.
entire
For 9
9
rooms.
The last bill, yes, the last bill I just paid for my own room, which after the money they brought, which we shared, the money I paid for my room was 800 and something.
Okay. Thank you very much for calling in. Mr. Everybody is laughing. I guess he has
Yes.
something really interesting to say
It's
about
quite
it.
interesting.
He said
It's quite
he receives
interesting.
about 9,000.
And his own share is 1,800 in a month. And he thinks that is too much.
But hold on, Mr. Fadipe.
Yes.
Probably he doesn't have much
Gadgets
in his house.
Well,
And probably he also feels that the amount he's getting
for the hours of
supply, it's not
See,
something.
let's deal with this issue realistically. A lot of us, as a result of the inadequacy in the power sector, we have at least what you call I better pass my neighbor.
Okay.
A lot of us. And a great number of times, we buy fuel of 4 liters at about 145 naira, as the case may be. 143 naira, as the case may be. So that 4 liters is that's about 600 plus, okay? And then we don't use that generator for more than 3-4 hours. Well, I think some say that I better pass my neighbor can even run you for the whole night. But that's just
about
lighting.
6-7 hours.
That's just lighting point. You can't put your fridge on it. You can't put your AC on it. You can't do your electric cooker on it, or even your boiling ring. You dare not put your boiling ring on any of, even the best, except maybe those Lister generators and stuff. You can't put your pressing iron on some generators.
Of course.
But with public power supply, you can connect all of these things at the same time. And yet, the gentleman, with profound respect to him, is saying that 1,800 naira is too much for him in a month. Let's ask him what he pays for a telephone in a month.
Well, it's been a very, very interesting. I have to say, this has been a very interesting interactive session on E&E Weekly. This is a special edition of the program. We'd like to say a big thank you to Mr. OYEBIDE Fadipe, the head corporate communications office, ABUJA Electricity Distribution Companies. We'd also like to say a big thank you to our callers. I hope that Mr. Fadipe was able to tackle most of the questions that came in. Well, that's all we can take on E&E today. Join us next Tuesday when we bring you fresh stories from the energy and environment sector. I am Joycelyn Elakeche Ada. Thanks for watching.